during the pandemic, I used to go out and get my portion of, well, put a fish, single fish or curry and chips, and sit near the statue of Robert Fergusson.
Yeah.
And then after the pandemic, I was observing the tourists coming up, and they had these strange looks on their face. Who the hell is this guy? You know.
Yeah.
And then the information below is written in the Scots language.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And so then I discovered you were responsible for putting that statue there of Robert Fergusson.
Yeah, I was part of the team that did that, and I like to think that the idea is he's buried. Robert Fergusson, the Scots poet, is buried in the Canongate Kirkyard. The statue is outside the Canongate Kirk, and he's walking from his grave to the Scottish Poetry Library, which is diagonally across the road, and he's aligned to do that. And others may have suggested that too, but I definitely suggested that.
The writing on the floor, though, is I can't make it.
No, Aldriki Whale Alcatoon that Scotland kens beneath the moon. So Aldriki, Edinburgh, the best of any town. Aldriki Whale Alcatoon that Scotland kens, that Scotland knows beneath the moon. That it's the best Scottish town. That's what he's saying. Aldriki, it's from Aldriki, which was going to be his magnum opus. He died before he finished it, but it's still pretty good. He's looking at 24 hours in the city of Edinburgh. He lived. Robert Fergusson was about 1750 to 1774. He died at the age of 24. I don't understand myself how somebody that age could have written such great poetry, because he transformed Scotland. And as a soundbite, I could say he transformed the world, because I've found out even more. Should I say something about the film yet? No. Okay. I'll not say anything about the film. Okay, say that. But he's transformed. He did. I would argue, it's never down to one person or one thing, but he transformed Scotland, and by that he transformed the world, because at that time he was writing poetry. He was a young man when he was, say, 20. He was writing poetry in the style of an English poet called William Shenstone. And so later, Robert Burns wasn't that age yet, but Robert Burns was writing poetry in the style of William Shenstone. Who is William Shenstone? Who's heard of William Shenstone nowadays? Nobody. Nobody's heard of William Shenstone. But we've all heard of Robert Burns. And Fergusson discovered that his real voice, his muse, his inner voice, wasn't in English, wasn't in the style of William Shenstone, it was in Scots. And at that time, people in Edinburgh, in the burgeoning Enlightenment, people were taking elocution lessons to rid themselves of their Scotticisms. They were trying to speak English. You know, would you like more bread? Yeah, Reverend, there's more bread in the bread bin. They were trying to get rid themselves of their Scotticisms to sound more English. And Fergusson he turned that round, because he gave voice to that almost counter-revolutionary feeling that, no, we shouldn't be doing that. We should be talking in Scots. What are we doing this English for? This isn't how we speak at all. Come on. And so he had that, and he wrote in Scots. And years later, Robert Burns was doing the same thing, writing in the style of William Shenstone and getting nowhere. And he found a pamphlet of Robert Fergusson's poetry at his friend in Dumfries's house. He was there, and what's this? And it was like the floodgates opening for Robert Burns. It was like he saw this poetry of a recent nature in Scots, and he thought, that's what I'm going to do, write in Scots. And so he did.